What is going on, everybody? This is Justin Martinez, aka J the Sports Dude, coming to you all live from my apartment. Hopefully you all are staying at your homes as well, practicing social distancing and staying safe during this pandemic, and I'm here to provide y'all with a little bit of extra entertainment. That's right, folks, it is time for the latest edition of Aggie Mailbag, the web series where I answer your guys' most pressing questions about New Mexico State men's basketball. And if you guys do want to get involved moving forward, you can send me questions on Twitter at JTheSportsDude. You can hit me up directly at my email, which is jmmartinez@gannett.com. You can find me on Facebook, which is the Las Cruces Sun News Sports page. And you can find me on the message boards of Aggie Alert on 24/7 Sports, which is going to be popping up right here. Shout out to everybody who sent in some questions for this one. We have 4 of them on the docket. And without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Alrighty guys, let's go ahead and get started with question number 1. I have my trusty mailbag beside me, and this one is coming to us courtesy of Cameron Montano via YouTube. He wants to know, if AJ Harris comes back this season, what role will he have? Well, definitely the return of AJ Harris would be a big one for New Mexico State should he be granted that medical hardship waiver after playing in just 3 games last season. Well, we don't have a timeline for that as of right now. I will say that he brings a lot to the table, and atop that list for the 5'9" point guard is his facilitating. This is a guy who can penetrate the defense at will with his blazing speed, and once he gets into the lane, he's either going to hit you with that floater, dump it down low to a big man, or kick it out to one of the team's shooters. He opens up so many great opportunities for his teammates. When you dig a little bit deeper into the advanced stats, that really is the case. So 2 seasons ago, as a redshirt junior, AJ actually had an assist rate of 23.8%, according to KenPom, which ranks 6th in the conference. And he's also a guy who takes really good care of the basketball. So that same season, AJ had an assist-to-turnover ratio of 2.1, and that's something that New Mexico State really could have used last season, because according to KenPom, they actually averaged 20.6 turnovers per 100 possessions, which ranked 290th in the country. But also, AJ is just a bucket himself. This is a guy who had an effective field goal percentage of 50.9 2 seasons ago, and that ranked 11th in the conference, according to KenPom. And that's really big because you look at guys like Trevelin Queen and Ivan Audico-Echea having now graduated. AJ could slide in and be a part of a big 3 with Jabari Rice and Johnny McCants. However, with all of that said, it would be an open point guard competition for that starting spot between both him and Evan Gilliard. I think Evan has earned that right to fight for the top spot after playing really well this past season since being deemed eligible. But I'm still rolling with AJ right now because I think that Evan fits that spark plug off the bench role just a little bit better. So if AJ wins out on that starting spot, I could see him getting into the ballpark of around 10 points and 4 assists per game, and ultimately landing on the all-WAC second team. Alrighty guys, let's go ahead and move on to question number 2. And this one is coming to us courtesy of HoopsMaster23 via Aggie Alert, and he wants to know, from all the junior college players who committed to NMSU, who do you think will play the most? Now, New Mexico State has a trio of incoming transfers from junior colleges who are immediately eligible. The list goes Snead State's Jason King, Ranger College's CJ Roberts, and Western Nebraska's Kalen Williams. And of the bunch, I feel that Roberts can make the biggest immediate impact under the assumption that AJ Harris does not return this season. Now, the 6'1" point guard is a former 4-star recruit who began his college career at the University of Missouri before eventually landing at Ranger College after a series of transfers. And it's there that he averaged 9.9 points and 2 assists per contest while shooting 48.2% from the floor as a sophomore. Now, Roberts is primarily a driver, somebody who gets to the rack with his tight handles and an array of very impressive moves down low to get his shot up over taller defenders. And he also gets to the line really well, really efficiently. There's a guy who had 32.1% of his points that season come from the charity stripe after shooting 95 for 122. That is 77.9%. And just so you guys get a better idea of how ridiculously good that is, Ivan Audico-Echea led the Aggies last season in free throw attempts with 120. So CJ Roberts, certainly a guy who draws contact with the best of them. And on the defensive side of the ball, he is a high energy defender, somebody who crashes the glass really well despite his lack of size because he has an impressive vertical. He actually averaged 3.3 rebounds per contest that season. And while that isn't against Division I competition, I will say effort translates onto every level, and I fully expect for him to be aggressive on the boards once he joins the Aggies. Now, there is a backup point guard spot up for grabs with the graduation of Sean Buchanan, and I think that's going to be between CJ Roberts and Kalen Williams. to duke it out. And while I like Williams a lot, I think he has freak athleticism, and also he can handle the ball really well. I still think that because he is going to be a sophomore this upcoming season, he's going to play the role of more of a student this year and soak up as much as he can from the likes of Evan Gilliard and CJ Roberts. Now, the other guy in the mix is Jason King, who is going to get some time as the backup shooting guard, at least at the start of the year, with Oklahoma State transfer Marcus Watson not being eligible until the start of the spring semester, barring a waiver that makes him immediately eligible. However, when he's playing behind an all-WAC first-team selection in Jabari Rice, it's a little hard to see King having that big of a role this upcoming season. For that reason, I'm still going with CJ Roberts as my pick, and I can see him getting into the ballpark of around 5.5 points and 2 assists per contest. Alrighty guys, let's go ahead and move on to question number 3. I'm reaching back into my mailbag here, and this one is coming to us courtesy of Tidley Gibbon via YouTube. He wants to know, with all those questions at center, do you think the Aggies changed their offense at all? Now, there certainly are some question marks at the 5 spot for the Aggies this upcoming season. You look at Portland transfer Jacob Tryon, who's waiting to find out if he'll suit up at all this upcoming season. And you look at South Florida transfer Mayan Kerr, who is likely going to be ineligible until the start of the spring semester, barring his waiver that could make him immediately eligible as well. But either way, if anything, I'm expecting the Aggies to be even more on brand this upcoming season, because you got to remember, this is a team that actually earned 37.8% of its points last season from deep, according to KenPom, which ranked 29th in the entire country. Meanwhile, only 44.5% of his points came off of 2-point shots, and that ranked 322nd in the country. So I'm expecting real perimeter-centric basketball from the Aggies this upcoming season, and they're actually going to have even more spacing from their big men compared to last season. And it starts with Johnny McCants, the Las Cruces native. This is a guy who led the team in three-point percentage last season at 40.3%, shot the ball really well from deep. And you look at other guys like Wilfred Lakai, who's a 6'10" forward who shot a pretty respectable 31.2% from deep at Casper College 2 seasons ago. And honestly, if anything, the addition of Jacob Tryon and Mayan Kerr is only going to strengthen this expectation, because these are 2 big men who also are willing to extend their range. So I would say expect plenty of deep bombs from this Aggies offense this upcoming season, regardless of how that situation shakes out at the 5 spot. Alrighty guys, we have reached the home stretch. It's time for our 4th and final question, and this one is going to be coming to us courtesy of @TobiasRod1 via Twitter. He says, it looks like we have another loaded roster this coming year. Barring any injuries, do you believe the second 5, meaning the teams as non-starters, could win the WAC? And that's a very interesting question. I will say that your starting 5 isn't enough to win a conference title. You still need that bench depth, so I don't know who would be backing up that second unit, if that makes sense. But I'm going to set that aside for the sake of this question. And my answer is still going to have to be no, because to me, the injuries aren't the deciding factor here. It's how the waiver situation plays out that will decide just how stacked this New Mexico State roster will be this upcoming season. If the year started today, then the second unit projection to me would have to be CJ Roberts, Kalen Williams, Jason King, Wilfred Lakai, and Rashawn Agee. Those are 5 players with no playing experience alongside each other, and also no experience under New Mexico State head coach Chris Jans, because Wilfred Lakai is the only returning player, and he was out for all of last season. So it would be a really tall ask for this group to go out and win a WAC title, and that's even with some of these fellow conference foes losing some key contributors. They still have some heavy hitters. Look at Grand Canyon, for example. They're led by all WAC second team selection Alessandro Lever, WAC Freshman of the Year Javon Blackster Jr., and then in the all newcomer team selection in Mikey Dixon. Then you look at UTRGV, which still has WAC Defensive Player of the Year Javon Levi, and a promising redshirt sophomore in Quinton Johnson II, who I think is going to have a breakout year with Jordan Jackson no longer in the mix. Those are just a few examples. Now, if we did say what would happen if the waiver situation worked out perfectly, then maybe we have a different conversation here, because all of a sudden you're looking at a second unit projection of CJ Roberts, Marcus Watson, Donnie Tillman, Wilfred Lakai, and Mayan Kerr. All of a sudden, that is going to be 4 former 4-star recruits, and then the 5th player is somebody who I like a lot in Wilfred Lakai. Now, you're still lacking that chemistry with the team and experience under New Mexico State head coach Chris Jans, but it's safe to say that that would be the most talented starting 5 in the WAC. But guys, that is going to do it for this episode of Aggie Mailbag. Shout out to everybody who participated by sending in questions. And if I didn't get to yours this week, please feel free to send some more again this upcoming week, because as long as you guys keep sending them in, I'll keep this series going. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, subscribe, turn on post notifications so you can get tuned in every single time that we upload something, guys. This has been Justin Martinez, aka Jay the Sports Dude, and I'm out.